Hello and welcome. If you're here, chances are you've gone through a deep shift in your life, one that has left you feeling disconnected from everything you once cared about. Maybe the things that used to excite you now seem dull. Maybe the goals that once motivated you feel meaningless. You might even be wondering, what's the point of anything anymore? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is a common experience after spiritual awakening. When the illusions of the mind fall away, so do many of the desires and attachments that once shaped your life. At first, this might feel liberating, but then a strange emptiness creeps in. Without the old motivations, what's left? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. In this video, we'll break down why awakening makes you lose interest in everything, and, more importantly, how to reconnect with life in a way that feels natural and fulfilling. You're not broken, and you haven't lost anything real. You're simply going through a transition, a shift from chasing meaning outside yourself to discovering it within. So, let's dive in and uncover how to move through this phase with clarity, understanding, and a renewed sense of connection to life. You wake up one day, and suddenly, nothing excites you anymore. The job you once cared about? It feels pointless. The goals you used to chase? They seem empty. The hobbies that once brought you joy? Now they feel dull. It's as if life has turned into a blank canvas, but instead of feeling free, you feel lost. What happened? Why does everything that once mattered now seem so irrelevant? And more importantly, how do you find meaning again? Spiritual awakening is often described as a beautiful shift in consciousness, freeing you from suffering. But let's be honest, it can also feel like a curse. Before, you had things that gave you a sense of purpose. Now, those motivations have disappeared and life feels hollow. The truth is, this isn't the end. It's the beginning of a whole new way of experiencing life. You haven't lost anything real. You've just outgrown the illusions that once drove you. Now, the real journey begins, rediscovering what truly moves you beyond the limits of ego. One of the first things that happens in awakening is the collapse of illusions. For most of your life, you were conditioned to chase certain things: money, success, relationships, social validation, because they gave you a sense of identity. Your mind told you that once you achieved these things, you'd be happy. But awakening pulls back the curtain, and you realize that much of what you were striving for was built on a false foundation. You see that happiness was never in those things, and as a result, the drive to chase them disappears. At first, this feels liberating. You're no longer running after illusions. But then, the emptiness creeps in. Without those old goals and desires, what's left? This is where many people fall into a void, mistaking freedom for apathy. Another shift that happens during awakening is the fading of desires, at least the ones that were tied to the ego. Before awakening, you wanted things because they made you feel important or secure. Now, those motivations are gone, and it feels like nothing matters. But this phase is misleading. It's not that desire itself has died, it's that the ego's version of desire has crumbled. What's actually happening is a purification process. Your soul is detoxing from all the artificial motivations, making space for something more authentic to arise. The danger here is that some people interpret this emptiness as a sign that they should withdraw from life entirely. They confuse detachment with apathy, thinking that to be spiritual means to have no interest in anything at all. But true detachment isn't about rejecting life. It's about engaging with it fully, without attachment to outcomes. This phase is what many mystics call the ego death, or the dark night of the soul. It's a period where everything familiar dissolves, and you're left in a kind of existential limbo. For most people, it's triggered by a life crisis, like a loss of a loved one, deep illness, loss of everything, and more. You might wonder, what's the point of anything? If nothing is real, why should I care? But here's the key realization. You're not supposed to return to your old motivations. Instead, you're meant to discover a new way of being, one where you engage with life from presence, not from ego. The good news is that your sense of direction isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to meet it from a new place. The first step is to shift your perspective on what it means to feel engaged with life. Before awakening, your interests were often tied to achievement or external validation. Now, they must come from a different source, pure engagement with life itself. This means doing things not because they give you a sense of identity, but because they are an expression of life moving through you. When you let go of needing something to give you a sense of meaning, you open yourself to a more natural flow of experiences. One way to reconnect with life is to approach it with curiosity rather than expectation. Try different activities without the pressure of making them meaningful. Paint, write, play music, go for walks. Do whatever draws you in, even slightly. The key is to engage with life without trying to force a sense of purpose onto it. You don't need to know why you're doing something for it to be meaningful. In fact, some of the most fulfilling experiences arise when you stop asking why and simply allow yourself to be present in the moment. Playfulness is another powerful way to reawaken your drive for life. Awakening doesn't mean life has to be serious. In fact, the more you let go of rigid ideas about what's spiritual and what's not, the more joy you'll find. Many awakened individuals fall into the trap of thinking that because they see through illusions, they must live in a detached, emotionless way. But life is meant to be experienced fully. Dance, laugh, explore, create. Let yourself be human. The difference now is that you're not doing these things to become something. You're doing them simply because they arise naturally from the flow of existence. When you understand non-duality, you see that life is just happening. There is no separate you controlling everything. There is just awareness, experiencing itself through this human form. From this perspective, feeling engaged with life isn't something you need to find or manufacture. It's simply life expressing itself through you. When you stop trying to grasp it, it returns effortlessly. The paradox of awakening is that the less you need something, the more freely it flows. Bringing presence into action is the final key. Whether you're painting, writing, working, or simply sitting in silence, everything becomes meaningful when done with full awareness. The mind will try to label activities as important or unimportant. But in reality, all actions are equal when they arise from presence. You don't have to chase a grand purpose. Your existence is the purpose. A sense of fulfillment isn't something you create. It's something that arises naturally when you engage with life fully, without resistance. Awakening doesn't mean rejecting life. It means embracing it without illusion. The world is not something to escape. It's something to experience with open eyes. The only difference now is that you engage with it from a place of freedom, not attachment. Creativity, curiosity and joy are still here, waiting for you to step into them without clinging. So, if you've lost interest in everything, don't worry. It's not the end. It's just the transition between an old way of living and a new one. Awakening strips away false meaning so that you can discover real meaning, one that isn't based on achievement, identity, or validation, but on simply being. You don't need to force yourself to feel engaged with life again. It will happen naturally once you stop trying to grasp it and simply allow yourself to exist. When you let go of needing meaning, you'll find that it was never lost. It was only waiting for you to meet it from a place of presence. Let life flow. Engage with it fully. Everything else will follow. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope this brought you clarity and insight. Remember, you're not lost. You're just stepping into a new way of being. Stay present, stay open, and let life flow. See you in the next one. Peace.